Chapter 4 opens up on a bit of a recap. It opens on Akira putting a bullet in the head of that hunter. Baldy is left sprawled out on the floor, bloodstains where the bullet connected with his head also pouring on the floor. Mohawk radios in, screaming, "What happened over there?" Akira goes, "Whoa, I really did end him, huh?" And Alpha goes, "Let's take his equipment. With this, you'll have even more weapons. Next, throw that body from out that window." Jeez, Alpha is cold. Akira then proceeds to drag the body towards the window. Mohawk is making his way to the building and thinking. There were gunshots, so there's no mistaking it, that there was a shootout. But there's no reply from him after that. But before he can continue, there's a thud right behind him. Mohawk turns his attention to the thud. Turns out it was Baldy's body, and he is pissed. He thinks that Akira is looking down on him. Alpha tells Akira, "Akira, take out that knife that you found among the relics, the one that we decided not to sell." Akira says, "Knife? You mean this one?" And he proceeds to take out the combat knife. Alpha says, "We'll now go and unalive the other hunter too." She tells him to shoot the handle of the knife. And Akira says, "Won't that break it?" Alpha turns to Akira with a smile on her face and says, "Just in case, I've also prepared 3 other alternatives where you'll be staking your life. Do you want to go at that instead?" Akira says nothing, but his face tells us everything. He's saying no, he doesn't want to risk his life like that. Mohawk is sprinting down the hallway at breakneck speeds, and he thinks to himself, if that girl is besides that brat, then he should know my position. He looks at his tablet and thinks, oh, Baldy's tablet is moving. So not only does he have Baldy's gun, that boy also took his tablet too. And he chuckles. If he thought that he's the only one here who knows each other's positions, I might be able to use that to my advantage. Mohawk finds Baldy's tablet, but there's no one there. The tablet's just lying on the floor. And he thinks, did he notice that it was giving away his position and left it behind? Or is it a trap? But there's no dead angle from this position. Mohawk then proceeds to cautiously go through the hallway, thinking, considering my position, it would be hard to catch me off guard. Not noticing what looks like a giant beam of light right in front of him, we get a 2-page spread of the building that Akira and Mohawk are facing off in, and what looks like particles of light flying everywhere. Even the wall is glowing from that light that was in front of Mohawk just a minute ago. He stops, and then his eyes widen. A look of shock and surprise is stuck on his face as he starts to topple over. Suddenly, he's on the floor, chopped in half, gurgling, trying to say something. We get a kind of messed up and funny scene at the same time. The hunter who's been chopped in half is still alive, and he's reaching towards Akira and Alpha, and Akira is just having fun with basically a lightsaber as this man is choking on his blood and bleeding out. It's quite funny. Alpha then bends down towards Akira and says, "Nice, you got him." And the knife starts to disappear. As Akira is going to go loot the body, he asks Alpha, "What is that knife?" She says, "It's nothing but an old world knife. You just destroyed its safety device, thus it was able to go full power, only for a short time." While searching the body for loot, Akira says, "Old world relics are amazing. To think that something so powerful is scattered around." And Alpha tells them to be careful because one day that could be him seeing a wall cleaved in two and on the floor. Alpha then hits Akira with her sales pitch again and says, "And also, don't forget that this is all thanks to my support. So you can go ahead and be grateful for my support, you know." And Akira does just that and tells her thank you. And Alpha says, "Now then, let's gather some relics before we're returning back to the city." A group of hunters are talking about finding the corpse of a giant monster. No doubt the giant dog that Akira took down. And after that, we're back at the hunter's office, the relic exchange. And the same man behind the counter says, "Show me your hunter ID if you have one." Oh, it's you. He even notices that Akira looks different the last time he came there. He takes a look at the relic that Akira brought back and says, "Your today's relic is not that good. I wonder if the last relic was mere luck." The man behind the counter then starts to appraise Akira's relic and says, "Today's relic is not that good. I wonder if your last relic was mere luck." Akira says, sorry that it's not that good, but at least it's still a relic from the old world. So that should be enough to get the money for my last relic, right? But Akira stops for a moment and says, wait, what do you mean by mere luck? They finished appraising Akira's relic, and it's worth $200,000. Akira is so stunned and surprised by this amount of money that he begins to sweat. And the man behind the counter says, there aren't that many children that can get that much money out of here. So well, at least use it wisely. Then that's it, and the man shoos Akira off. We get a close-up of Akira's eyes. He's still sweating and looking around. Alpha says, Akira, calm down. If you lose your cool only with that amount of spare money, it'll be hard for you in the future, Akira whispers, spare money? What the heck are you talking about? It's $200,000, Alpha says, nope. It's spare money. That there is no mistaking it. That there is just spare money compared to all the money that you're going to get by risking your life and with my support too. You should get that into your head. Akira thinks, even if you tell me that, it's still that much money. Alpha says, for now, I bet you're tired from the expedition, so let's go to an end. She also says, I'll give you support on how to use money properly. He gets a huge room. He can't even stay calm while in the room. Which makes sense because he was a kid in the slums and now he's in a really nice room. Well, for him it's a really nice room versus the streets. Alpha tells him, you should get used to this now that you have $200,000. It's not like I can let you stay in that back alley, right? Akira says, but I still think we spent a lot of money on this. This room is $20,000 a night. Alpha says, how about you take a nice relaxing bath for now? Or maybe you want to try my non-combat support. Akira doesn't even care about the non-combat support. He heard a bath, and he's going to take a bath. And after all of that, it's nice to see him take a rest and take a bath after going through all of that craziness. And Alpha teleports next to him and says, how's the bath? Alpha starts to advance on Akira, and Akira says, Alpha, why are you in the buff? And she says, I can't get in the bath with my clothes on, right? But Akira is way too relaxed to deal with anything Alpha's putting out right now. And he says, so, you can get in a bath even though you're CG, huh? Alpha tells him to get out of the bath and get dressed because he's starting to fall asleep and he could drown if he does fall asleep in the bath. As Akira walks away, he says, Alpha. And Alpha answers back, yes, Akira? He says, about your request for exploring a certain ruin. I'll accept it. She says back to him, so you're saying that you'll trust me? He says, well, I guess that's correct. But even if I say so, I don't have the ability to do that right now. So will you please wait until I become strong enough? And Alpha says, in that case, you should really get some equipment first. And Alpha says, yeah, I understand. Akira is awakened by Alpha, but he's surprised and forgets that he was in a really nice room and he wonders where he is right now. Alpha says, this is the room you slept in last night. And she tells Akira, we'll go buy some equipment after you finish your breakfast. They end up going to the Lower District Hunter Supply Shop. And they're greeted by a beautiful woman wearing a really cool hat. Akira tells her, I want to buy a rifle, maintenance tool set, and he also wants to sell the rifle he looted off of the guy. She then looks over the rifle and says that you want to sell this rifle, but you can still use this rifle by just with a little bit of maintenance, Alpha tells Akira, you'll be using your rifle for a long time, so it's better to get a new one rather than a used rifle. He says it's okay that he's selling that one and buying a new one. The shopkeeper goes, okay, in that case, subtracting the money from the sale then. The total will be $100,000, and this will be your new rifle. She tells him that this is a cheap rifle, but it's a favorite among hunters, and that if you're okay with it, how about trying this? And we learn what this is. It's a defense cloth. It's a bit too big for Akira, but it'll fit with a little bit of adjustments. The shopkeep says she'll throw it in as a bonus because it's an outdated product that she can't sell. Akira says, is that really okay? And she says, if you feel bad about it, you can be the shop's regular and contribute to its income. Ooh, she's smart. She's going for the long haul, the most money. She sees something in him. Smart. With bright eyes and a smile on his face, Akira says, alright, thank you very much. Alpha's kind of pissed off looking a little bit behind him. The shopkeeper says, a child hunter, huh? And then she begins to think, I hope he'll survive out there long enough to be a frequent customer. Akira returns to his room, and Alpha tells him, our next target agenda will be shooting and training. Since we're in a contract now, I'll give you my full support. And Akira says, I'll do my best. He also thinks, to be honest, even right now, I know nothing about Alpha. But Alpha said to me when I was mortally wounded that she'll do anything to keep me alive. I'm sure that those words were not lies. Alpha wants to make me a success and run that ruin, no matter what. But with that being said, if Alpha meets a hunter who's better than me, she might just dump me, which means I need to get stronger. Then I'll rise up as a hunter. Alpha breaks Akira's train of thought and says, Akira, I need to tell you the most important part of the contract, so listen well. Alpha then begins to glow and proceeds to talk like, well, a robot, and it says, this unit will proceed to give high-level support to the subject Akira. Warning, are you sure you want to execute all kinds of functions regarding Akira without approval? This action will also include extracting and using level 5 private information. It is recommended to request for extra explanation on the information that will be extracted. I'm gonna be honest guys, this is a lot. Basic summary of this, it's basically a terms of service contract. We usually just hit yes and continue, so let's do that. And Akira is floored with all the terms and service that's being thrown at him right now. Alright, and that was chapter 4 of Rebuild World. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video with me. Please do me a huge favor, and like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, you know, all that stuff to help the channel grow. Velvet out.